You guys remember the equation for this?
Sure.
What is it?
Sure about it.
Okay, what was I? What is his income goal?
1,200.
1,200, right? Equals 20L plus 10C. I'm going to use capital C. Now, yesterday we solved these for L or C, so that way we can get the y equals mx plus b form, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I solved this for L, what do we get? We solve for L. You guys remember? Means L equals
60.
60. Okay. Minus 0.5C. Okay. And when we solve for C, what do we get? So C equals 120. Just got the first part?
Yeah, I can't find them.
Okay. 120 minus 2L. So how do we get 2? Because we solved this for C, I put 1,200 instead of 12, or put 12,000 instead of 1,200. Okay, so if I'm going to solve for C, I'm going to get C by itself, correct? Right? So I'm going to subtract 20L from both sides. Right? So then I'm going to get them right over here. I know it's not good. Math process to do it this way, but I don't want to erase the board right now. Okay, so we get this, right? And then now what do we do? By 10. So 1,200 divided by 10 is 120. 20 divided by 10 is 2.
Oh, right.
Okay. Now, both of these equations are in y equals mx plus b form, right? Right? Now, sometimes we're asked to find a graph for all possible solutions. Have you guys been asked that before? Maybe in your homework that's due today? Right?
Sure.
So, how am I supposed to make a graph that finds all possible solutions? Where do you think we should start? I think we should start with 0. What do you mean by 0? We should start at 0, 0? Okay. Jordan, where should we start? If I'm going to make a graph for every possible solution, where should we start? When you say T-chart, what do you mean? Algebra or a table? Well, we already did the algebra there, bud. Okay. We should look at a table, right? Right? Because when I have a table, the table gives me data points, don't they? And when I have data points, I can make my graph, can't I? Right? So, can we make the table for L right here? L equals 60 minus 0.5C. Can we make the table? How do we make that table? What do I got to do? I take that equation and put it where? In the calculator, right? I put it in for y equals. All right? There's no L equals page, so I got to use a y equals page. That means my L is my y and my C is my x. Okay, so it's probably good to make note of that. Okay? If this were a test question, I'd put a little note for myself. Y is L, X is C. All right? So that way I know. So, plug in your calculator, guys. Take your calculators out. Plug them in. When you come in every single day, you need your calculators. Okay? It's like showing up to English class without a pencil. 9.
What are we looking for?
16. 16's gone. Gone. 17.
I mean, 17. You know,
Okay.
16 is not.
Okay, here's Jessica. Alyssa, which one? Which one?
8.
8. Anybody else? Okay. You got Alyssa for me. Thank you, sir. We're plugging in 60 minus 0.5C into our y equals page. Okay. Remember, y is L and x is C. And then where can I find the solutions? In the table, right? So let's go check out the table. Okay. Give me some values, Jamira. We have 0 and 60. We have 1 and 59.5. We have 2 and 59. We have 3 and 58.5. Okay. There's going to be a ton of data points, aren't there?
Yeah.
Right? if I'm gonna make a graph for all the possible solutions, should I go one by one with my data points? Probably not, because it's gonna take me a long time, isn't it? Okay. Now, one other thing I want to make note while we have this here. If I look at these answers, 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Which ones are answers that fit the context? The whole numbers, right? Because we can't have half a lawn, can we?
No.
Right? We can't wash half a car, right? So if this were a test and I asked for how many lawns can Brett mow and how many cars can he wash to meet his goal of 1,200, if you said 1 and 59.5, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be wrong. Okay? In the context of the problem, we can't have decimals, right? So if I want a solution to this, it can't be decimals. So I don't want those ones in our table. Does that make sense? All right. Now, this table is going to take me forever to find all the points, and if I then have to graph all those points, that's going to take me a long time. So to kind of simplify this up, what do you think we should go instead of going by ones? What do you think we should go by?
2.
Oh, maybe not twos. What'd you say?
Stand by.
Tens. Let's try tens. We'll go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
No, it just,
Okay. Now is it different than what you did yesterday, Maddie?
yes.
Okay, so try this one out then. Okay. So Phil, we looked at 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Oh. So it's the same thing, just.
Yep.
My favorite.
So 0 is still 60, right? Anybody find 10 already? What's 10? 55. Did anybody find 20?
50,
50, 30, 45, 40, 50, 35, 60, 70. Okay. I ran out of space on the board, but can anybody find where y is 0? 120. Okay. So we could fill those all in. That's going to be a lot of points. I should have enough points now to make my graph, shouldn't I? Okay. Now when I make a graph, typically the graph looks like this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, which quadrant is all of my possible answers? If I'm over here, wait 1 second. Take a step back. Which axis is this? X. But X is really C. Right? What axis is this? L. Because L is my Y, right? Now, which quadrant has the acceptable answers? Which region?
Oh. 1, 1.
We'll label them. Which quadrant has all the acceptable answers? 1. Why'd you say 1, Lon? Over here, my C's are negative. Can I wash negative cars?
No.
No. Down here, my C's are, and my L's are negative. Can I mow and wash negative cars and lawns? Over here, my L's are negative, right? And I can't mow negative lawns, right? So the only place my graph should be is where? In quadrant 1. Okay, so when I'm making a graph for this problem, I do not need to worry about the other 3 quadrants. I just need the top right corner. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, which axis is this again, L or C? L. What axis is this? C. Now my C's go up by how many? 10. And I need to get to 120. So how many tick marks do you think I need?
9, 8, 10.
12. Nice job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got a little spread out at the end. Okay. The reason why I need 12 is because 10, 20, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Now I have all my data points, don't I? Right? What's the maximum number up here?
60.
So I want my top line to be 60, don't I? But these go up by how many?
5.
5. So I probably should have
Well, you can start from
12, 5, 10, right? 60 divided by 5 is 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Then every other one is a 10. Right? Does that make sense, guys? Yeah? 50, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100. Alright. So now I can plot my points, can I? 0, 60. 10, 55. 20, 50. 30, 45. You guys doing this on your own too? No, why not? Oh, that's the wrong spot. 30, 45 is there. 40, 40. 50, 35. I'm getting way out ahead of myself. The 120 is right here. And when I plot them all, they should all land on that line. Okay. And this line, Jamira, represents all the solutions. Okay. Okay. If I was being really nitpicky, I'd only have you put all the dots on here, because those would all be all the whole numbers. Okay. So that line represents all our solutions. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Are there any questions about that? So in the homework, when they're asking you to make a graph of all the solutions, that's what I want. Now, how would this change if we use the other equation? What happens to your x and y axis?
Negative.
Close though. Your x and y axis will, they're going to switch, right? So if you take your heads and turn like this and look at it, right? Then it'll kind of look right, but then you got to kind of rotate it too. All right? So let's take a look at how that one's going to look. So go back to our y equals, and do c equals 120 minus 2l. And do we want to go by ones or do we want to go by tens? What do you guys think? Tens? Okay, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Start drawing the graph. Okay, did we find some values already? Okay, when x is 0, what's y? 120. When x is 10, what's y? 100. 20. 30. 40. 50. 60. 70. Okay. Now, do we see any combinations in the two tables? Are there any combinations that are in both tables? Now, the order might not be exactly the same, right? 0 and 60 and 60 and 0, right? Those are the two tables. Now, what do you notice about the x and the y's? They flipped, right? What about 60 and 30? Should be 30 and 60, right? 20 and 50. 50 and 20. Why are they switched? We solve for their variable. Perfect. So in this one, L is what? X or Y? X. And Y is C. So my graph, instead of having L here and C here, which one's going to be down here? L. Right? Which one's going to be up here? C. Okay. Now I can graph again, can't I? Okay. Now each of these tick marks out of 12 of them should be worth 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So we'll have each of these be worth 10, so then our top one is 120. 50, 100. And these ones I can just do 5 for each, or I can do 10 for each. Doesn't matter. We'll go 10 for each. No, we'll go 5 for each. Keep it the same way as we did earlier. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Right? I can start plotting points, can I? 0, 120, 10, 100, 20, 80, 30, 60, 40, 40, 50, 20, 60, 0. The last two kind of things fall off my line. Right? But that should be our line right there. All the points should be on that line. Okay. Now my axis isn't square, so it's not going to be perfect, but all of our points should be on a line. Now why don't I have 70, negative 20 on here? Because there can't be any negative cars, right? 70, negative 20 isn't on here because we can't have any negative cars. So how are the graphs? How do they look? They look pretty similar, right? Except what happened to our x and y coordinates? They switched. Now, if this were a test, would you have to do both of these? No. You just have to do one of them. On your homework, you have to do both of these? No, just do one. Okay? Does that make sense? So if I ask for all the possible solutions to this problem on the homework, this one's okay. And so is that one. There are 2 possible answers. All right? All right. Are there any questions? So what's our first step here? To make a table. Actually, it's to solve, right?
Yeah.
To solve the equation, get in y equals 4. Then make a what, Betty? Table. Right? And after that, we plot the points. Then we have our graph. Any questions?